Hey everybody, welcome back to the CCC. I am in a really good mood today. I don't know if you can tell.
Why are you in a really good mood, Jason?
Let me count the ways. One, it is beautiful weather out, at least here in Texas. Two, baseball playoffs are on, and despite the likelihood of my Astros going very far this postseason, I'm still excited. There's some normalcy. And third, I'm very excited about today's drink.
I've got nothing on that second one, but as for the third, I'm excited about the drink because you're excited about the drink. You've often talked about this drink. I don't know that I've ever actually made myself one.
I know this drink so well, I can actually tell you where I had my first.
I can tell you where I've ordered it. And it was at a bar in Charleston.
That's funny, because guess where I had my first Cynar Flip?
Probably the bar you told me to go to in Charleston.
A frozen flip.
Ooh, I bet a frozen flip would actually be delicious.
Only problem right now is everyone's wondering, what the hell are you talking about? What is a flip? Why would it be good frozen? And that's part of the excitement of this drink, because aside from the fact that, yes, we both really like it, although you've never made one, it sounds like. I've made it a few times. It's one of those drinks that it really sounds awful if you don't know what it tastes like. Like some drinks you can describe and you're like, okay, that sounds pretty good. If you try to describe taking a whole egg, not an egg white, mixing it with a Italian bitter that is amongst many herbs and other flavors, has an artichoke essence to it, a bitter artichoke, I should point out. And that's pretty much it. There's some simple syrup and some bitters, but it doesn't sound like the greatest combination. But I have to say, this may be, out of all the drinks I've ever made, the first time, or had the first time, I think I had the lowest expectation and the highest response in terms of like how good it was.
Okay, well that's impressive. That's something to say.
Yeah.
What I will say is Cynar sounds disgusting because of the artichokeness of it, but it doesn't taste like an artichoke. It just tastes bitter. And I will have to say, remember that desert island conversation we had about what bottles you bring? That's on there for me. That is definitely one of my favorite bottles. So I'm really excited to use Cynar today. I don't know that we've used it at all on the CCC, and it is definitely one of my favorite bottles. So if you like bitters, if you like Amari, this is definitely a bottle worth picking up, in my opinion. Use it in lieu of Campari in a Negroni, and it is freaking delicious. Again, in my opinion. Use it in a Manhattan, like in my Chit Chat, and it is freaking delicious. So I'm really excited about it.
I want to point out, you're seeing two different bottles, guys. You're seeing a red and a black. Mine's the overproof, the 70 proof. What is yours, by the way? What is regular Cynar? 50?
Yeah, I was gonna mention that you're using that overproof Cynar and you're using it as your base spirit. So that's going to be interesting. Jason's going to be a lot of fun in about half an hour. This is really low ABV, actually. So if you're looking for a nice ABV cocktail for before dinner, for after dinner, for just trying to cut down, or you want something, light, this is only 16.5%. So it's only 33 proof.
Yeah, so it's actually, it's less than half of.
Yeah, so it's like half that. I will also say that I've tried both of these Cynars, and I much prefer this one.
Yeah, we've had this conversation, and I agree. I replaced the red with the black. When this one runs out, I'm a good 2/3 there already almost. I'm probably gonna go back to the red as well.
I said for 5 minutes it was hard to find the red, and you could only find the black, which was sort of strange. But I think back. The other thing that we need to discuss, I think, is what the hell is a flip?
That is a very good question. A flip. So let's back up, actually. So those of you that have seen many of our past broadcasts, you've seen we've done egg whites, 5, 6 times at least? A handful of times, easy.
17. Love egg whites.
Love egg whites. It's the bacon of the bar. And but we've never done a flip. And a flip is essentially not having to mess with the whole separation and just throwing the whole egg in there, which again, I know initially sounds a little iffy. Guys, trust us, it is delicious. It's going to create a whole different mouthfeel. Like that. That was for you.
Well done. Thank you.
It's less, when you say it's less frothy, it's more creamy.
Yeah, because there's a yolk in there, so there's less air. It's less airy.
Airy. Well, so a flip is really just that. So you can make a Negroni flip. In fact, from what I understand, on the West Coast, through all my connections, flips are very big on the West Coast.
Huh.
My connection, by the way, was one random bartender who told me what a flip was years ago, and they said on the West Coast they're very big. So far, the only flip I've made that I really enjoy is this guy here, although I'm tempted to start working in some coffee and chocolate liqueurs I think would also work well, we were talking about offline.
Coffee and chocolate liqueurs?
Well, today we're messing with some bitters, right? We can work in some different chocolate bitters. I'm saying as ways to play around with this guy, you could also work in some coffee liqueur. Or this guy, I don't have it, but they make this in a coffee chocolate combo, which could be good.
I think that cafecito, that's going to be your winner in this Cynar Flip.
He's really good. He's out of Austin too. Anyways, I just think flips, well, Cynar Flip in particular, I think it'd be very easy to go slightly off course and go with some other Amari that are out there. What do you have, Mr. Black? So this is one of those where, yes, the Cynar Flip is sort of the classic flip, which, by the way, is only 6 years old. I don't know if you know that or not. It's a relatively new cocktail. The Cynar's been around since the 50s, but the Cynar Flip is only 6 years old. What I would classify as a new classic.
The Cynar Coffee Flip is about to become one.
An instant classic.
Because that sounds good. I am going to add a 1/4 ounce of Mr. Black.
Okay.
I think a little goes a long way, and I want to taste it. And I'm not sure how many of these I'm going to be able to get through. I feel like with a raw egg, like it's okay, but I don't know how many I'm going to throw back.
It's certainly not, this is not a lifestyle cocktail by the pool.
Yeah, yeah.
So, well, mine can be boozy, yours is less so. It's a really good nightcappy kind of drink. If you want something sweet but don't want dessert, like don't want ice cream or pie or cake or cookies or anything that's heavy or brownies, this is, you're getting some sweet, because believe it or not, even without the coffee, just what I have here makes this drink to me taste, actually has sort of a coffee essence to it. I've told you that before. I'm not sure, I mean, obviously it's coming from the Cynar. I don't notice the coffee flavor in any other drink I use Cynar in, but this one.
Yeah, have you heard of that coffee cocktail? It uses port, and weirdly enough, it does taste like coffee. It is the weirdest cocktail. It is the weirdest group of ingredients that ends up tasting like coffee. It's so strange, but it's a port cocktail, and I don't play with port very much.
No, I've made this for somebody and didn't tell them what it was and said, what do you taste? And people will say, tastes like coffee. But yours is definitely gonna taste like coffee.
Yeah.
So, shall we?
Let's make this.
Those of you that have seen our videos in the past where we work with egg whites, we start with a dry shake. So you're gonna take all the liquids with minus the ice with egg white or whole egg. We're gonna dry shake. Then we're gonna add ice. So when you're using terms like wet shake, dry shake, that's what we're referring to. Right, so you wanna kick it off?
Sure. I always like to start with the egg rather than start with all the booze in case I screw it up and end up with shells in there or whatever. Even though it's easier to do it when it's the whole egg, not just the egg white, might as well still start with the egg. So,
all right, whole egg, 2 ounces of Cynar.
I'm gonna go ahead in here, and this is where I'm gonna add my 1/4 ounce of Mr. Black coffee.
See, this is another example. I wish we were making this together because I'd love to taste that. So I'm gonna have to try one later. Just for a little bit of sweetness, simple. I'm using a 1/4 ounce. You use a couple bar spoons. It's really a feel thing there. This being as we were saying, a kind of a newer classic. Yes, there's recipes online, but it's not one where you have to adhere to every detail. All right, and then the classic, if you will, recipe calls for Angostura, which is what I have here. But we both had talked about maybe doing something different as well, either in addition to or instead of. So what do you have?
I'm gonna use chocolate.
And I'm gonna use mole.
I'm gonna go ahead and use my Ango later though.
So again, before we put ice in, we're gonna dry shake. And just like with egg white, you really wanna make sure it's in there tight. It's gonna try to open up. And really, the longer you shake, the better, the creamier it's gonna get.
Yeah.
About 30 seconds. All right, now this is a drink where you really wanna have it, I think, extra cold.
Okay. So let's add ice shake again.
All right, large coupe if you have it. You kind of have to give this one a few seconds to sort of separate a bit. We'll get a little bit darker towards the bottom.
So as mine starts to settle, you see it gets a little bit darker on the bottom and the head gets a little bit lighter. And I am going to stick my stencil on there on top and give a good bunch of sprays. First spray is never quite good, so I always mine actually looks lovely.
So anyways, we hope you guys try this. We hope you find it as delicious as we do. This is not gonna be something you're gonna make 5 days a week. I think it's a special occasion. It's a Saturday night, winding down, good dessert cocktail.
If nothing else, at the very least, you can impress all of your friends by knowing what a flip is.
Yes, and I'll tell you what I've done. Although you do, I will caution you have to ask people if they have any allergies. But don't mention egg, just say, do you have any allergies? If they don't, this is a drink that they're better off tasting without knowing there's egg in it, because it is delicious. You guys have a good week. Enjoy this weather. Go Astros.
All that.
Cheers, Rice.
Cheers, Jason.